A very good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for being here at NUS FutureWork 2.0 and our first panel discussion for the afternoon. The title being From Theory to Practice, Harnessing AI in the Workplace. Our distinguished panel, already seated here on stage, comprise experts in the field, and they will discuss ways to leverage AI at work, which is what we're talking about today. So let me introduce our panelists. On my extreme right, Mr. Sudhir Tiku, Mr. David Low, Mr. Adrien Chenailler, Mr. Jeffrey Tan, and of course our moderator, Ms. Clara Lee. Before we begin, do scan the QR code on the screen that you see to post your questions throughout the discussion. Let me now hand the time over to Clara. Clara, over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this panel, when I have the distinguished experts from major industries from Singapore. And many of them, actually, I know them personally. We work together. David, we worked 10 years ago with some data prediction modeling. And with Jeffrey, a veteran in supply chain, we work on, even explore some business opportunities. And Adrien and Sudhir, both are very active speakers in many of the public speaking, very passionate about spreading good ideas. So let me start straight into the panel discussion. And I will start with Adrien, and you will introduce yourself in a while, but I would like you to start talking and telling us, being in OCBC, being a rather established organization with lots of technical capability, how does OCBC deploy AI in various areas in the bank?
Yeah, thank you, Clara. So I will speak a bit about how OCBC leverage AI, and more precisely actually generative AI for this talk, because I think that's where the buzz comes in, but also trying to go a bit beyond the buzz and how it's being applied within OCBC to actually tackle concrete use cases. If we can go to the first slide, I'll try to elaborate on two use cases which we are currently working on and actually are quite close to. I think this went too fast. Oops. Yeah, I'll try to talk about two use cases that we are currently running. As you will see, my slides are actually fairly concrete because there's lots of talk, you can use AI to do this, you can use AI to do that. And there's very few, people showing you what actually it looks like, while it's going to be everywhere. And the first aspect we are trying to reinvent is the way banks are thinking the relationship with their customers. And by leveraging AI, we do not say we are going to replace every single interaction and you're going to talk to robots. I think we are still humans in the end, and we still need to have someone explaining us through, having some knowledge and the patience of doing so. And as we saw with some craze last year about ChatGPT and all these bots that popped up, I think the disappointment came very early. And we also thought a lot about how do we empower actually people with generative AI. And this is an example of what we are trying to do to empower our own employees to leverage it. In the past, every time we have someone, and a relationship manager or a bankers talking to a client, AI can already give them good recommendation. Hey, for this particular customer, we believe a unit trust is a suitable product. Hey, for this one, we think you should probably recommend a loan. The real question they always had for us, and the challenge was, why? If I pick up my phone today, what do I tell this customer? And Gen AI enables us to actually create content that is contextual, personalized, and we are therefore able to do a lot more than just telling you, hey, please buy a UT. We are able to tell you, you should buy a UT because you are 25 years old, you still have 40 years ahead, and during these 40 years ahead, the market is going to go up and down, and you should be in equity because on the long run, equity completely outperforms the rest of the market. You should absolutely not buy bonds because you should buy bonds when you are 50 years old. This is not financial advice, by the way, do not listen to me. I'm head of data science, not head of advisory. But I think the strategy will make sense. So that's really, what we're trying to do. So we're trying to use all the touch points, put them together, give contextual recommendation, summarize when you have interacted potentially with the bank in the past. Did you call the bank? We can use generative AI to listen to the call and make a summary so that next time you call the bank, you don't have an agent that tells you, sorry, who are you again? Sorry, what was your problem? And ask you 5 times every time you are calling, which I think is a fairly common experience with any call center, literally. So that's something we're trying to literally build. So this is to empower our employees to be more reactive, to have more knowledge, and to contextualize the information we can do. A second aspect we are looking at is a bank. What is a bank? So everything that could be already automated in a bank was probably already automated. So there's still a remaining 20% that makes 80% of our work. And you can see a bank as a document processing machine, I call it. It's like it's a monster of processing documents, probably thousands a day. And generative AI has the capability now to understand, have a better document understanding. And that's how we are leveraging it with central tools and generative AI models to understand what are these documents. Can we read through them? Can we write a memo? Can we understand whether this customer might be suitable for opening an account or not because of money laundering issue? So that's a journey we are currently reinventing, leveraging vision language model, large language model deployed on-prem. The second thing on this is, okay, what if the AI starts opening account for the wrong people? And that's true. That's, I would say, a key risk if you were to use it end-to-end. And that's something we try to avoid by, we see Gen AI for now as making the information available, much more than taking the decision, summarizing it with some guardrails that we are able to see, like pulling the reference, where the information coming from, and pulling information on how it derived this particular conclusion, which is something the models are actually able to do fairly well. And the last bit, I would say, is on customer information security. Obviously, we're not using ChatGPT to do this. We don't send customer information on the cloud. Actually, at OCBC, all our models are hosted on-prem, so that we don't even use a service provider for it, which gives to the technical challenge for us to scale up all this model. So there are 2 concrete use cases, and I will just finish by very brief words that stating, I do think Gen AI is going to reinvent the way we work, and you actually only have one way to see it, is to move with it. Because in 5 years, this will be everywhere, and you will have to work together with an AI, and you will not even be able to see what was AI generated and what was not AI generated, which maybe is some ethical concern we need to address into labeling content and others. But that's really something quite exciting, and I'm really happy to be here and hope to have a nice discussion today.
Thank you. How many of you enjoy calling a hotline and then go through menus, press 1, press 2? Nobody, right? Me too. Okay, how many of you, maybe a show of hands, expect some type of contextualized, personalized service when you call a bank in 12 months? Thank you, Adrien. We will see that is coming. So me too, we really expect more personalized service, and have a guess. Well, it's moving to SingTel soon. On average, how many times do you touch your phone a day?
Always in the hand, never leave it.
Guess. There are some statistics in the, you don't do Google search now, okay? Because the answer isn't there. Yes? 100, sorry? 520? 620? Okay, if you do a search, number of times you touch your phone including you enter information, send text, 2,671 on average. Surprising, right? Probably we never really count, but if I said just say how many times I flip the phone and really entering text and sending text to responding and so on, probably it does make up this number. So, David, coming from SingTel, I'm sure they protect our data privacy and telecom companies, but they also collect huge amount of data from consumers. Can you tell us how the impact to consumers with such kind of amount of data and AI being deployed?
Sure. Hi, I'm David. So first of all, I'm a proud alumni of NUS, so feeling good to come back to the campus again. And right now I'm leading the advanced analytics team at SingTel, so driving all the advanced analytics and machine learning use case across consumer and SME business. So just now when Clara shared about like on average how many times you touch the phone a day, 2,600 times. I find it quite surprising. I mean, even for someone coming from telco. So then I did a search. So I think 2,600 times is equivalent to like 3 hours, 50 minutes a day. I mean, the time you spend on the smartphone. So, and apparently there was a survey that looked into the average screen time by country. So Singapore, we are slightly lower than the global average, the 3 hours, 26 minutes. Oh, we are at 3 hours, 26 minutes, like 24 minutes less than the global average. And the top ranked country is actually Philippines, with a whopping 5 hours and 20 minutes on average on the phone. I think this is, as a result, they are heavy social media users, and also they spend a lot of time on mobile entertainment and communications. While the lowest country on the leaderboard is Japan, which they only spend like 1 hour and 54 minutes, on the smartphone each day. So coming back to Singapore, right, we have the highest, I mean, at least one of the highest mobile penetration rates, across the population at 167%, meaning for every 100 residents, we have 167 mobile lines on average. So to give you some idea on the amount of data that we have that we process at SingTel, so for every single minute, we are processing around 1.5 million location updates. So this is referring to your mobile cell connection. Every time you move to one location to another location, that's where we receive the update of the connectivity to another cell tower. So this is considered location updates, and depending on whether you are indoor or outdoor, the frequency or the interval will varies. Then again, when it comes to your like 3G, 4G or 5G kind of connectivity, right? Every minute we have around like 4.6 million mobile internet records running. Yep. So at these skills, this data is very invaluable for us to say like this provide us a real-time kind of a snapshot of the user mobility patterns. So we look at the cell tower connections, the mobile usage behaviors, and also for us to understand our mobile network or even our fixed line broadband network performance. So historically, this amount of data, right, before the era of big data or even AI, a lot of this data has been like just thrown away because back then we don't have the capability or the processing powers to process all this data, and also this amount of data and at this amount of velocity, looking at like the range of multi-millions in the minutes, right? So since the introduction of the tools like starting from MapReduce to HDFS to Spark to Kafka, or more recently LLM, so these kind of new tools and technologies has enabled us and transformed the landscape entirely. And then, so it changed how we perceive data. I think not just SingTel, but a lot of other industry as well. So as the saying goes, the data is the new oil. So with these tools, it basically helps us to refine this raw material like data into something is actionable insights. So insights about our customers, understand our customers better to provide kind of a more personalized kind of experience, which I will elaborate slightly later. We talk about the example of application of AI in telco. So this basically opened up a lot of new opportunities, new business models, and opportunities that we can enhance our customer experience. So now I'm going to share two significant applications of AI in the telco industry in general. So starting from example from SingTel. So, first one is the personalized marketing. So by analyzing the customer's data, right, the behavior, the amount of call you made, the amount of data you use in a day or in a specific time. So this enables us to shift from a more product-centric approach to more customer-centric, or even at the more household-centric levels, enable to uncover insights about our customers' preference, their usage, and also at the household level, like looking at the family as a whole, what are their needs when it comes to telco communication services and products. So one example is, for example, if we can analyze our customers' travel patterns overseas, we are able to come up with roaming or voice roaming or data roaming package that's tailored to their usage patterns. So for example, speaking of travelers, we have a few types of travelers. For example, we have the business travelers who are frequent flyers, and airlines love this guy because they travel every now and then. So it's the same for telco. So we regard this guy as the power users who tends to spend a lot of time calling like overseas. They used to spend a lot of incur on a higher bill on like roaming call in the past, and nowadays they spend a lot of data on like overseas Zoom call when they're traveling or Teams call using a lot of roaming data. So this group of customers, they are relatively less price sensitive, and usually they have allowance from the company to pay for the bills, etc. So they don't mind paying for a slight premium in exchange for a peace of mind. Then we have another group of travelers, which is family travelers. So they tend to travel during school holidays, like June's, year-end, or during certain festive seasons. So for this kind of customers, we are able to personalize and offer family roaming plans, which is a plan that the family can share for their, when they are traveling overseas, they can still stay connected on their roaming mobile data. So besides roaming plan, what others customer need can a telco fulfill in this case? So that brings me to the relatively new business area that SingTel has been embarking on, which is telco assurance. So basically providing travel assurance products to our customers. For example, for business travelers, we are rolling out annual plans because they travel so frequently, and also family travels plan for family travelers. So, by the way, what I described just now can be done with simple data analytics, like just try to segment the customers by certain business logic. So you might start to wonder where do the advanced analytics comes into the picture, like machine learning models. So now knowing what they need, like for business travelers and for family travelers, so the other piece of the puzzle is to find out when do they travel, like because in order to have effective marketing campaigns, the right time to reach out to the customers is very crucial. Yeah. You don't reach out too early before they plan their travels, or you don't reach out too late when they're at the point at airport, we only reach out to them to buy travel insurance. It's already too late. So this is the place that we actually introduce machine learning models that predict the likelihood of our customers that is going to travel, and then when are they going to travel. And we are able to produce quite accurate models that tell us how much is the lead time, and also through A/B testing or experimentations, we are able to tell when is the right time to reach out to them, let's say for the travel insurance product. Yep. And another area that AI has made a significant impact to the telco business in general is customer care. So at SingTel, we leverage on AI to assist us to assist our customer care team. Basically, we introduce features like whitelisting or intelligent whitelisting that fast-track the customers with specific needs, or automatic fee waivers, like in the case of banking, we have the credit card waiver. in telco, we have sometimes we have late payments or we have accidental roaming charges, right? So this kind of innovation has allowed us to set the new standards of customer service within the industry. So to give you a concrete examples, the industry average for hotline waiting time in telco is around 1.6 minutes. And this is a reported stat to, IMDA. And for SingTel, we managed to reduce this to just 20 seconds. Instead of 1.6 minutes, the average time of SingTel customers call in to the customer care regarding mobile services, the waiting time is just 20 seconds. 20 seconds, not minutes. So this rapid response time, obviously improve the customer satisfactions and also reinforce the trust and reliability of our services.
Thank you. I do look forward to have a bit more personalized packages that I can subscribe or to really, use. Actually, I think we generally overpaid some of the subscriptions that we don't use that much, actually. Okay. Any questions so far, or we can wait till questions after the 4 speakers have spoken? The QR code, do you have problems getting the QR code for the questions? Okay, maybe the crews can post the QR code again in a while. Let's move on to a different industry, Jeffrey. And supply chain the industry have been using AI for years. And let's just have Jeffrey to tell us what is happening now, what is the latest, how Singapore companies, logistics companies, supply chain companies are doing. Do you have a...
Yeah, thank you, Clara. Well, my name is Jeffrey, so happy to be back here in my alma mater. So Carol keep reminding me that I must claim that I'm an alumni. So many years ago, I'm a student here, so I don't review how many years, so it reviews my age. But I was a student here, and I didn't graduate from logistics or supply chain in NUS, but I graduated from computing, in the School of Computing. So, and it was by chance that I joined the industry that actually focused on one of the very less noticeable area in the entire economy, what is called the logistics and supply chain aspect. So what do you imagine? I think today all of you are probably shopping on the e-commerce. Who doesn't shop on e-commerce today or even buy from TikTok or anything? I don't think anybody here don't do any e-commerce shopping. And you sort of guarantee your delivery every day. And who is doing all this behind the scene is actually the logistics and supply chain people. And you probably experienced that during the pandemic where you are rushing to the supermarket for toilet papers to stock up. And that was the era where we seen, in my entire career, seen the most number of toilet papers in the warehouse. That was really crazy in Singapore. So it's an industry that's often ignored. It's an industry that I don't think any parents today will aspire your child to be in the picture that's shown above, to be a warehouse operator or grow up to be a logistician. I don't think so, right? So the career, the job itself, it's not glamorous for an operation role or for anything. But over the years, the industry has changed. It has also shaped. So I have the privilege of joining PSA when I was graduated from NUS. And then I was actually doing a lot of the development work in their automation, their optimization, and how they run the port itself. And that gives me the exposure to the industry, and I never turned back. So I've been in the world's most busiest port. I've been in the largest shipping line, one of the key regional logistic player here in the region. And I've been working with also customs trade compliance with one of the key solution provider that actually developed the latest, the world's first single window for custom compliance. So it's an entire very different world from what I know logistics and supply chain as a student, right? And this is a very global business, very difficult business. It's also one of the oldest industry to digitize in a way. 20 years ago when I joined the industry, we were talking about electronic bill of lading, which is one of the very key documentation in shipping. I just attended the 3-day conference ago, and we are still talking about the electronic bill of lading because it doesn't move. But there are things that actually develop. I think one of the key things that maybe in the next slide we could show are certain areas in terms of optimizing the way we run supply chain and operations. So over the last probably decade, we've seen adoption in autonomous vehicle. We see adoption in AGVs, automated guided vehicles. We see adoption where you see the fanciful Alibaba, Amazon, the things that looks like your home vacuum robots that moves cargo around. So actually, this industry was one of the earlier to really adopt a form of AI in terms of where they run and how they optimize their entire operations. You know, if your kid today has a flair for organizing things, you know, or you have some OCD factor that you see in your kid, they're probably suitable to get the warehouse organized. And that's how they really are a bit of. So the way we work in the logistics supply chain is to really get things organized. We are very particular about inefficiency. So because in this sector, we don't make as much money like the banks, you know. So we make the cents, the dollars, the small little cents that we make, and it's about optimizing every single step so that we actually get the maximum profit out of what we do as a business. So key things like this type of investment into optimization using robotics is what we do. We even went to the extreme where when drones were popular in the early part of drones adoption, we actually saw an opportunity to use drones because in the warehouse, if you do not know, we need to count the amount of stocks that's available on the warehouse. And imagine the warehouse has a few racks, right? And they have to bring out the top cargo down and start counting it, and then go to the next one and the next one. The entire counting process will probably take about 2 days. So we actually piloted to use drones in the warehouse to actually do stock cycle counting. We call it a stock cycle counting. So instead of bringing the cargo down, we fly the drone for level 3, go and scan all the QR codes, the barcodes, and use imaging captured, and then go for the next round. And it starts to move the entire process. We complete it probably in 12 minutes as part of the entire operation. And then behind the scene is where we actually capture all this data and start to then really look at that and try to match what we have on the system in terms of number of inventory versus what is being captured visually and using the barcode and the QR code scanner and RFID detection. So this is a fascinating world if you really dive into it. But if you want your kid, do you want your kid to be just growing up driving the forklift or operating the warehouse? I don't think so. So the industry has moved. We have adopted many of this AI technology. And I think in the next slide, we could show some of the vision. So all this slide that you see here, as part of Clara, she wanted me to produce some slide, and I was rushing for time, so I didn't produce all this slide. It was done by Gamma. So I used Gamma to generate all this slide. So in what we see here is some of the suggestions, which doesn't go too far away from what I think the industry is moving towards, including adoption in automation, things like using data to do a lot of the decision making. A lot of the supply chain operations today, if you go to their actual operation center, even including NUS FairPrice, they have a big, what we call the supply chain control tower that actually draws data from different parts of your operation, including your warehouse management system, your transport management system, your delivery orders, and then we look at how things are actually moving. And in the early stage, we are only able to do data visualization, and then the next stage is going into the prediction. Of course, nobody predicted COVID. If not, we could make more money during the COVID period. But this was one of the industry that actually survived during the COVID period, if you notice. And we actually use a lot of the big data coming into the control tower to predict what will happen to the supply chain when there's a natural disaster. And this is where the adoption of AI was very early, I guess, in this industry. Of course, now into Gen AI is a whole new different ballgame. There's more in other application areas, which I think later on we will touch on. But if you envision how this industry will move and how we normally also share with people who wanted to join this industry, how to make this industry sexy and appealing to young people who want to join industry. I think the next slide, we could see some of the visuals that I use, again, AI to generate. This is probably what you see your kids or your future kids, if they are working in the supply chain and logistics sector, would be working very closely with robots, working very closely with a lot of tech equipments, rather than handling the physical cargo itself. And I actually pumped this into the one of the AI image generator. I think the last slide that I have probably shows this is the vision that they envision the next generation of the warehouse, operator or the supply chain kind of person. So this is also a fascinating thing for, you imagine yourself to be one of the superheroes running the entire operations, with the help of AI-assisted tools to make it more effective. So you're no longer just running operation, but you're using a lot of analytical tools to really help you to run your operations more effectively. And that's how you keep the supply chain alive. That's how you ensure that you get your food on the table, you can find your stuff on the supermarket shelves, and you get your notebook that you order, you'll get your iPhone, the latest iPhone that you order, to ensure the supply chain is keep more alive and running. So I envision as we move into the future, there will be a case where the supply chains are more predictable with AI assisted. You'll have lesser case of running out of toilet papers, hopefully, and then you at least you get your stuff that you order, every day delivered to you without any surprises. Yeah.
Thank you. Very interesting sharing. Some years back, I was working in the cement industry, and probably you do not know the cement industry is very dusty, lots of people working there, and so on. So we also had a vision that a plant like that, a manufacturing plant like that should be only a person and a dog. The person is to take care of the dog is to keep the person awake, and the rest of it should be automated. So, and then the plant should run. Now, moving into the manufacturing, closely to supply chains manufacturing and Sudhir. In manufacturing, there has been years of talk about Industry 4.0, which is really about deploying digital technologies in the manufacturing environment. And the recent talk is about 5.0. It is about human and machine interaction. And how far have we gone into this space and what is happening probably in Bosch and in manufacturing?
Okay, thank you, Clara, for a very interesting question. And firstly, a quick word about myself. So I come from a time when Apple was still a fruit, and Python was a very lazy snake, right? So you can imagine I have some kind of experience. And for the benefit of the audience, if you listen to me very intently, I can promise you can already start applying for manufacturing jobs, because answer will be interesting. So Clara spoke about Industry 4.0 and 4.5, but I just want to create some perspective here and say maybe 500, 600 years back, we used to use water and steam to create some basic mechanization in the factories of those times, and that was Industry 1.0. Then we waited for another 200 years, and electric power came, and we had assembly lines and electric actuators, and that was Industry 2.0. And then we waited for another 150, 200 years, and came the PLCs, the logic controllers. The assembly lines became more complex. We had departments now for quality assurance, quality control, sales, supply chain, et cetera. This was Industry 3.0. And I think one of the achievements of Industry 3.0 was that it made us consumers. It drove consumerism, because mass manufacturing got created in 3.0, and it moved on maybe till 2008, 2010, when the European industry started talking of Industry 4.0. And this was the initial time for AI. And Industry 4.0 basically was this data centricity, wherein machines have to be connected to each other to create insights and make better decisions and create efficiency in operations and productivity. But ultimate aim of Industry 4.0 was to get rid of humans, right? It was to have autonomous factories, right? And that was the ultimate vision. But then what happens in life is that something unpredictable happens. So in 2020, the pandemic came, and then we had an unplanned war in the region. And then we had multiple social disruptions, and that created a movement which is now called Industry 5.0. And I will talk about Industry 5.0, the transition between 4 to 5, and the role of AI in all of this. Now, Industry 5.0 is based on 3 basic headlines. And the first headline, which Clara said, is human centricity. Like in Industry 4.0, it was assumed and it was kind of mandated that the humans have to adapt to the technologies which will come in the manufacturing. But Industry 5.0 says that we have to now use technologies which are aligned to the workforce. Industry 5.0 says that humans are not resources, but humans are assets in the value chain of manufacturing. Industry 5.0 also focuses on sustainability, because in the manufacturing space, sustainability typically was getting connected to the corporate social responsibility, and there was no individualized program. But now manufacturing industries work on, say, triple, if some of you know this term called triple bottom line, which is people and the planet, and profit also. And they also focus on sustainable developmental goals. For example, the gigafactories of our times in the West, we already using solar power now, right? So to create sustainability around usage of energy. And also in Industry 5.0, there is this very empathetic interaction and collaboration between humans and the robots. And we have this new term called cobots, which is collaborative robots, because in Industry 3.0 to 4.0, we had industrial robots. Now these robots, industrial robots work on a particular domain. They cannot learn, but cobots are learning robots because they are based on machine learning and neural networks and AI, and they evolve and they learn, and they work very seamlessly with humans. So cobotting is the new term in manufacturing space, where there is respect for the robot and there is autonomy for the human as well. Now in this 5.0 space, now whether you talk of material handling, whether you talk of machine monitoring, product assembly, product inspection, quality control, we have sensors, and these sensors pick up data. And there is very rich data in manufacturing ecosystem. And this data is then getting fed into AI models, and then based on typically reinforcement learning, or sometimes say supervised vector machines, or even linear regression, we create routines which help us in preventive maintenance, which Jeffrey was talking about, because downtime is still the biggest pain for the manufacturing industry, and billions of dollars are lost when there is downtime. But with this AI model, it is possible now to predict well in time that what are the structural defects, which machine can fail, and all that is possible. Also, we are using computer vision very extensively in manufacturing industry, and we have very good use case in the mobile industry, wherein the integrity of the final product was always suspect, especially in Asia. But now with computer vision, I was reading a report, the quality integrity of the final product is already improved by almost 30%. So which is extremely impressive. And also we are now using AI-powered drones to look at, say, fugitive spillages in the telecom industry, for example, or also in construction industry. And ultimately we will come to a scenario which is called Industry 6.0, which is also called anti-fragile manufacturing, wherein computing will be quantum computing, and then it will really be a fantastic future with almost zero defect, humans in the loop, and creating products which the customer wants. Ultimately, the vision for manufacturing is that you will place an order directly into the factory, and you will get a product, or you can imagine a product, and the manufacturing ecosystem is able to create it. So interesting times for the manufacturing space overall, and I think AI is really being used effectively, and I think this is going to be a sustainable ecosystem for many, many years to come.
Thank you. I'm opening up the floor for any questions directed to any of the speakers. Okay. Well, I have some questions. Or rather, the speakers have some more sharings that they have prepared. Perhaps start with David. Some jobs must have changed. But before that, show of hand, who already feel that AI has impacted your job? Wow. Okay, we were preparing this panel. We were talking about job versus work. Okay, so you have work to do, but does it impact your job? So, like David, what has changed in some of the jobs in SingTel?
Okay, so maybe I can share maybe things that happen to the telco industry in general, maybe not just SingTel. So for example, we are seeing changes since the adoption of AI. For example, one example would be the network engineers or technicians. So I think in the past, a lot of these, their job involved a lot of manual configuration of switches or networks to do troubleshooting and maintenance. So since the introductions of AI technologies, there are algorithms that can manage the downtime, detect like early detection of something like the predictive maintenance. They can detect early signs of network issue. Then they can do like reboot the routers or switches remotely. So this kind of mundane task has been automated, so that now the technician or network engineers, their kind of roles are sort of involved into some of the things or tasks that require more advanced skill set, like data analysis, to manage the algorithm or AI model management, and also do like more strategic levels of kind of a network planning. Another role I want to bring up to share is about the marketing analysts. So in the past, they used to do a lot of, again, manual data extractions about the campaigns, run calculation of the campaign conversions when it comes to customer retention, upsell, cross-selling. So since the introduction of AI, or when we introduced a platform that allowed automated A/B testing and stuff like that, their job kind of require more advanced skills that they need to know how to interpret the data beyond just pulling the data from the platform and run manual analysis. They need to interpret the data and also come up with ways to improve the campaigns. And again, use AI-assisted tool like ChatGPT or LLM to come up with a certain hypothesis on like maybe a new product constructs that might be more attractive to the new generation of customers, depending on their needs and preference.
So, so jobs change, require new skills. Jeffrey, you have painted that some of the pictures where, we aspire our children to be able to handle. How do they learn this kind of skills?
I think when we graduate from the university, we were not taught on this, how to really continue your learning and all that. I guess one thing that actually sticks with me is really curiosity. So I think today, probably one of the jobs that you discussed will probably make redundant is really maybe the coder's job, right? Because now ChatGPT can write your code. Any of the Gen AI can start to write programming codes. But of course, I think you still need that fundamental skills in terms of be able to read the code and be able to get it working. I quote one of the incident that I actually encountered recently. I was signing up for the AI Singapore 16 weeks training on AI Foundation. There was a quiz question. I think those who are technical will be aware of this. So the quiz question asks for list types. They do a -1, -2, and then try to pinpoint which is the item. And for us in the technical side, we know that lists always count from 0. So I got the question right, but ChatGPT got the question wrong. I was quite surprised. Because I cut and paste the entire question. So you must be able to judge, be able to have that critical thinking and that skills to be able to judge what is right and wrong. If you cannot even judge what's coming out from ChatGPT that is right and wrong, then you're basically just blind. You're just blind copying the blind, right? So some of the fundamental skills does not change. But then the creativity skills, the cross-discipline skills, like for me, I'm in supply chain and logistics, but I'm always very curious and always very interested to learn about manufacturing because in our sector, we serve the production and the consumption. So I'm interested in manufacturing because that's the production world. I'm interested in the consumption world because that's where the e-commerce, the new retail lies. So I guess in order for you to continue to be relevant as we move in this era, you have to learn cross-multidiscipline knowledge, business domain knowledge. And that will stick with you for a longer time. But the underlying foundation is that curiosity. So after I left graduate from NUS, I did not stop my learning. I continued to come back to NUS ISS. I did another few program, and now I'm doing a program in AI Singapore and also doing a BRICE program with BCG. So it's a continuous learning that you have to really invest the effort in to continue to stay relevant. But important thing is really the curiosity that you must build into yourself to really continue to learn all these new developments and the latest. Yeah.
So if we were all a very competent ChatGPT user, okay, we you know, whatever tools available in the market, then we can use that. So will we all be equal? Adrien, help us there.
No, I don't think so. So I think, and I reflect a lot on what Jeffrey was saying, is that ChatGPT gives you an answer to a problem. The first question is, what is the problem? And it reflects also with other leaders when they tell you who they are hiring, what kind of people they are hiring. I think Steve Jobs always says hiring people to tell him what to do. And primarily, the primary thing is tell him what is the problem to be solved. Too many people come to the industry thinking they are going to be problem solver. And when I interview people, I tell them, are you a good problem solver? They will tell you yes. I say, and are you able to find the right problems to solve? Because you can be a problem solver all your life and only solve meaningless problems. And GPT-4 can do it for you now, so you are useless, actually. So that's really the number one thing is, are you able to find problem? Are you able to assess this is the right problem? And are you able then to use the tool at your disposal? And when we look at Gen AI, we also think back, 50 years ago. 50 years ago, there's no internet. Therefore, you spend a lot of time solving this problem. You spend a lot of time on things that are now automated because a Google search gives you the answer. Now, Gen AI gives you a long piece of code. Is it actually a useful piece of code? Are you solving the right problem? Is it using the right paradigm to solve this problem? Or are you trying to force fit it into solving a problem that should be solved a completely another way? That's really the question that we have. And I think from a career standpoint, it also holds, and that's another quote from another great business leader, Jeff Bezos, when he's looking at his strategy. Everyone tries to guess what is going to change in the world. I build my strategy on what I know is not going to change. And the same holds for the career. What is not going to change, you need to find the right problem to solve. Whether it's solved by a team of 1,000 engineers after that or by GPT-4, that's about the same thing, actually. You just will have more people looking for problems.
So solving problems probably require, curiosity, different critical thinking. We talk also about, having the tech skills. We talk about, integrating all these skills together. And Sudhir, I know you are a passionate supporter of AI. Number one is really about, developing these skills and how do we go about developing them. And also, you're passionate about AI should work for us, not that we work for AI. So maybe you can elaborate on your perspectives in all these different human skills that we need to have and how we should use them to make AI work for us.
This answer can make me unpopular, but I take the risk. I think we will, as a species, I think we will continue to strive, we'll continue to learn, we'll continue to reskill ourselves, we'll continue to be curious. But somehow I have a feeling, and this is based on data, is that there is a future without work. And now one question is to hide behind the sofa or to confront it and understand that what do we do in such a future? Yeah? And I say this because our value proposition as workers is diminishing. And it is because that the kind of intelligence that we have, which is carbon intelligence, is getting slowly but surely superseded by the carbon intelligence of AI. And I also tell myself that actually we were not built for work. We were built for well-being. 200 years back, we were not working this way from 9 to 5 in a building like this. This was not the kind of work that we were built for. Yeah, and industries came up, money came up, bankers came. My best friends are bankers. Don't get me wrong. So money came in the play, and we became part of an ecosystem which is now kind of unending, and AI is going to disrupt it. Now the question is that if there is a future without work, then what do we do? And actually, there is a project with World Bank and United Nations funds it. That project is called the project of UBI, which is Universal Basic Income, wherein governments, in case there is no work in future now, don't get scared, it's not happening tomorrow. Say after 20 years, 30 years, there is no work, there will be a concept of a basic income wherein everybody gets some income to survive. But see the opportunity here. 70 to 80% of workers throughout the globe are unhappy with what they are doing. Here's an opportunity, if there is no work, to do something which we actually want to do, right? And then to create value in terms of what we always wanted to do. For example, I'm a vision scientist, I do multiple things, but I wanted to be a writer in life. But then my dad told me that if you become a writer, you'll become a beggar. So I came into an engineering college, and I'm happy with what I'm doing. But if somebody asked me what I wanted to do, this is not what I wanted to do. And this is the story with each one of you. Yeah. Also, what is going to happen ultimately is that our purpose currently is just work. If I ask you what is the purpose of your life, you may tell me many things, but ultimately you are just living 9 to 5, and work has become your everything in life. And this is what actually happened to this. I'll conclude with this example. What can happen to us has happened to some animals in the past. And the animals were horses. 100 years back, horses ran the transportation industry. If you had the horse in the city, you were the most important person in the city, right? And then came the internal combustion engine. And all of a sudden, horses were out of jobs. And I was interested to find what happened to the population of horses from 1920 to, say, 2022. And I predicted population will go down. It went down till 1995. From 1995 onwards, the population of horses has gone up 2 times throughout the world. And you know why? Because they found a new purpose. We found a new purpose for horses, sport. Right? So if there is no work in future, don't get scared. We will find a new purpose for ourselves and live more peacefully.
So just to share with you the good news that I will be a grandmother by end of the year. Thank you. So I have the longest debate with my son-in-law, a very argumentative person. How do we raise the kid? Send to school, not send to school, kill their creativity, or just homeschool, we can teach them, we happen to be, in the whole family, we are all tech people. We just teach them lots of AI skills and data skills and so on. By 10 years old, we even had a vision, we set up that by 10 years old, the kid will own 2 companies. So I want to open the questions to the floor as well and to our panelists.
Just teach him how to ride a horse.
How do we raise our kids? How do we raise our, the young people?
I just maybe want to add on to this interesting observation. I have 2 young kids, right? So I think that question is also very valid for me. I just want to ask, maybe how many of you have encountered, if you have a very very impatient boss, or a boss that has encountered that statement that ChatGPT can write better than you, can do better than you. I've physically seen it before. One of the staff was scolded and said that ChatGPT can do this better than you. So if you have that one coming at you, I think your job is probably at stake for some reason, because you might be in some writing job or in anything. And we, as part of SCS, right, Singapore Computer Society, we have youth in our chapter, and we run a retreat recently, and I can see the difference in the way how they deal with problems and addressing issues. We were actually at a retreat, and all of us were scrambling on the topics to do. So the older generations like us, we basically try to use the whiteboard and write down points and then put it in a PowerPoint and try to present it, and most of the groups do it in that way. But the groups of youth, you know what happened? they basically contextualized and implemented a problem with a website. And the website was born immediately and being showed, in terms of how they visualize this problem is. So this is how different the disparity is, because we are still in the state where we are trying to solve problem in the old way. And then the young ones, they actually have a new idea of how they solve the problem, using a lot of the AI tools and whatever tools that they know. So I think this is where the thing that you need to think properly about how to raise your kids or your kids in the next generation, that they should be able to learn and adopt this type of new way of addressing, solving problems, new skills, rather than the old school way, right? I used to have bosses that tell me, oh, don't use ChatGPT, because I don't like it, the old school mentality, right? And this exists still in the current organization. But things have really changed, and we should try to adapt ourselves to that, yeah.
Clara, here, I just want to draw your attention to a question on Pole EV. The question is, we've got about 5 minutes to wrap up, yeah? Are there any potential pitfalls that organizations should look out for when implementing AI?
I'll start. No, there are many pitfalls, but the main pitfall is not adopting it. I would say it like this. I think adoption is extremely complicated, especially if you want to be a first mover. My take is that you have to hire some probably smart people and try to infuse it directly into the processes. I think the first generation especially of AI, Gen AI, was probably last year or several years ago. Last year for Gen AI, several years ago for AI. And the key point is, if you try to create a side track on your business, you're probably going to fail. The question is how you look at the processes you have right now and completely replace them with AI, and not try to just put a bit of powder of AI on top of it. So this is the main pitfall that I see, is try to build some small side toys, I would call them, and then you're just creating more legacy code. It does not work, it does not have an impact, and in the end, you just get fired as head of AI. So that's the key point. The second point is really getting the buy-in from key stakeholders in any company. We are still large corporation, and you need your chief officer to believe that there is a way in putting AI literally everywhere. Otherwise, I think it's not going to work. Yeah. Other pitfall, I would say no. Adoption will be key, but if the adoption is seamless, because you're integrating it into the existing tools, then there's no need to have an adoption, actually. The adoption will come naturally. You have to force adoption when it's unnatural. If you have to force adoption, it means you're doing it the wrong way. There needs to be value immediately from using it. That's more the point there.
Yes?
Maybe one point to add in is the data. So because, AI or ML in general, we work on data, and you get rubbish out when you put in rubbish. So I think this is something that a lot of companies that has been missing. First, to get the data right, you have a proper way of collecting your data, how you store it, and then you can realize the value using AI, ML, or just simple analytics.
So we come to an end of this panel session. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you, Sudhir, David, Adrien, and Jeffrey. We hope to push a little bit the boundary of our human skills and explore more on AI technology to work for us. Good afternoon to all of you.